Hello everyone. Today, I would like to talk about the Battle of Itsukushima. The Battle of Itsukushima took place in 1555, the first year of the Koji era, on the island of Itsukushima in Aki Province, present-day Hiroshima Prefecture, between the Sengoku period feudal lord Mori Motonari and his lord, Su Harakata ***, who held real power within the Aoki clan. Background of the battle. Originally, the Mori and Su clans were vassals of the Aoki clan, whose base was in So Province, present-day Yamaguchi Prefecture. However, in 1551, Su Harakata defeated his lord, Aoki Yoshitaka, and seized real power in the Aoki clan, which resented Mori Motonari. To Motonari, Yoshitaka was his lord, and the wife of his eldest son, Mori Takamoto, was Yoshitaka's adopted daughter. Outnumbered, Mori Motonari planned a surprise attack that would take advantage of the terrain of Itsukushima. Lure Harakata to Itsukushima, Motonari built a fortress called Mieyo Castle on Itsukushima and deliberately had it taken by Su's army, thereby luring Harakata to Itsukushima. The main strategy that Mori Motonari used to lure Su Harakata to Itsukushima was to build a fort called Mieyo Castle on the island and deliberately have the Su forces take it. Construction of Mieyo Castle. Motonari built Mieyo Castle on a high altitude behind Itsukushima. Although the castle was suitable for defense, it had limited supply routes and was not suitable for a long-term siege. A demonstration to the Su army, Motonari deliberately made Mieyo Castle appear weak in order to make the Su army believe that they could easily capture it. Harakata Su's decision. Harakata Su felt that the Mori clan's base on Itsukushima was a threat. Since it seemed that Mieyo Castle could be captured relatively easily, he thought that this was an opportunity to weaken the power of the Mori clan, and decided to lead a large army to attack Itsukushima. In other words, Motonari set a bold and clever trap. Build a conspicuous base on Itsukushima and deliberately allowed the enemy general to take it, thereby dragging him into a dangerous place himself. This strategy was successful because the topography of Itsukushima, it is a small island, and its geographical features make it difficult for the enemy to retreat once they land. Su Harakata's carelessness. Harakata, riding high on a string of victories, underestimated Mieyo Castle and failed to see through Motonari's strategy. The following factors are cited as contributing factors. Information manipulation. Motonari colluded with Fusahide, a senior vassal of the Su army, and spread a false letter claiming that Fusahide was plotting a rebellion. Harakata believed this and killed Fusahide, weakening his own military strength. The informant's manipulation of Fusahide was an important step in Mori Motonari's attempt to deceive Su Harakata. Although the specific method has not been recorded in detail, based on circumstantial evidence and subsequent developments, it is believed that the following efforts were made. Dispatch of secret emissaries. It is believed that Motonari secretly dispatched a trusted vassal to Fusahide to try to make contact with him. He would have sought out Fusahide's position and complaints, and would have explained the advantages of siding with the Mori clan. Promises of rewards and status. If they sided with the Mori clan, they may have been promised rewards and new status after the downfall of the Su clan. It is believed that some of the Su clan's vassals were dissatisfied with Harakata's heavy-handed methods, and it is possible that Harakata exploited their dissatisfaction. Persuasion through letters. In addition to direct contact, Motonari may have also approached Fusahide through secret letters. Motonari may have appealed to Fusahide's feelings, or he may have analyzed the situation and suggested that it would be wise for him to side with the Mori clan. Spreading false information. Along with his informant activities, Motonari spread false information within the Su army that Fusahide was plotting a rebellion. This was a ploy to make Harakata suspicious of Fusahide and to damage the relationship between the two. As a result, Harakata believed the false information and killed Fusahide. Lack of direct evidence. The details of the specific collusion with Fusahide are not clearly recorded in the records from that time. Therefore, the above points are merely speculation. Speculation from circumstantial evidence. Despite being a senior vassal of the Su clan, Fusahide did not show any notable actions during the Battle of Itsukushima, and above all, the fact that he was killed by Harakata due to false information spread by Motonari makes it highly likely that there was some kind of collusion going on. Motonari's plot. Motonari Mori was known to be skilled in intrigue, a strategy to turn an enemy into an ally. His manipulation of Fusahide era was one of his specialties. In other words, Motonari used various methods to contact Era Fusahide, dangling rewards and positions in order to encourage him to defect from the Su clan. It is not clear whether his collusion was successful, but the fact that Fusahide was ultimately killed by false information suggests that Motonari's schemes caused confusion within the Su army, which was one of the factors that led to the victory at the Battle of Itsukushima. Surprise attack. On October 1, 1555, taking advantage of a stormy night, the Mori forces split into two groups and landed on Itsukushima, launching a surprise attack on the Su forces. Attack from the sea. The Murakami Navy, pirates of the Seto Inland Sea, who sided with the Mori clan, also attacked the Su Navy, cutting off their retreat from the sea. Results of the battle. The Su forces were taken by surprise and fell into disarray, and were annihilated by the fierce attack of the Mori forces. The commander, Su Harakata, was also unable to escape the island and committed suicide. Motonari Mori, who achieved a great victory in this battle, expanded his power in the Chugoku region in one fell swoop and established his position as a feudal lord during the Sengoku period. On the other hand, the Aoki clan, having lost the Su clan, rapidly declined and was eventually destroyed. The Battle of Itsukushima is counted as one of the three greatest surprise attacks in Japan. The Mori forces, who were outnumbered, were able to defeat a larger army by using their cunning and the advantage of the terrain, making it an event that greatly changed the nature of warfare in the Sengoku period. The following points are important when considering the general battle map of the Battle of Itsukushima. Mori Army Deployment. Miyeo Castle, a fort built by the Mori clan on a small hill along the coast in the northeast of Itsukushima. Initially it was defended by a small number of soldiers and served as a decoy to lure in the Su forces. Tsutsumigura, an inlet on the south side of Itsukushima. This is where the Mori forces secretly landed on a stormy night. Bakuchio and other places, a place in the mountains from Tsutsumigura. The main force of Motonari Mori was hiding there, waiting for an opportunity to launch a surprise attack. The coast north of Itsukushima, the Mori Navy, including the Murakami Navy, was stationed here, responsible for blockade and attack from the sea. The deployment of the Tao army. Tenuka, a small hill on the opposite bank of Miyeo Castle. Harakata Su's headquarters was located here and he was watching over Miyeo Castle. Omatura, a coast located in the northwest of Itsukushima. The main force of the Su army landed here and set up camp here. Other areas along the coast. It is believed that the Tao army's soldiers were stationed in various locations to strengthen their defenses. At sea, the Su navy was at anchor, facing off against the Mori navy. Flow of battle. The Mori forces deliberately allowed Miyeo Castle to be taken in order to lure the Su forces to Itsukushima. On a stormy night, the Mori forces secretly landed at Tsutsumigura and passed through the mountains to get behind Tonooka, where the Su forces' main camp was located. At the same time, the Mori navy attacked the Su forces from the sea, cutting off their retreat. The Tao forces were caught in a pincer attack and fell into disarray. In the midst of a storm, the Mori forces forced their way across the sea to Itsukushima, Miyajima, and under cover of darkness landed at Tsutsumigura. Mori Motonari and his eldest son, Mori Takamoto, headed behind Tenuka, where Su Harakata had his headquarters, while his third son, Kobayakawa Takakage, and the Murakami navy headed by boat to the front of the island. They split into two groups and launched an all-out attack. While in a deep sleep, the Su forces were attacked from the front and back, and because of their large size, they fell into chaos. The Su naval forces were sunk one by the attacks of the Mori forces, and soon collapsed. With nowhere to run, Su Harakata decided to commit suicide at Oi no Yura, leaving behind the poem. What can I regret or resent? I was already destined to this state of affairs. As Mori Motonari wrote in a letter to his eldest son, Mori Takamoto, "The more schemes you have, the more you win, the fewer you lose. By always having spies, people who spy on the enemy, on hand, knowing both himself and his enemy based on that information, and by formulating precise strategies, he was able to end a battle in which he was at a great disadvantage, his army of 4,000 against the enemy's Sioux army of 20,000, with a brilliant victory."